Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 48 of D.A.R.C, or Does Anyone Really Care? Now, most Alfa Romeos on Gran Turismo 6 don't get that much love from most players. Some people do use them, many people do own them. But they're not really the kind of cars that come to most people's minds when you think of racing. Now, there are some Alfa Romeos which do, like the 155 touring car or the TZ3. But those are pretty much the main two. Most people don't use the 166, the GT, the Brera, the GTV. Most people just don't use those cars that often. Now, this particular Alfa Romeo, as you can see, is the 166, which is one of a couple of saloon body Alfa Romeos on the game, and it's kind of a Marmite car. The looks are, you either love it or hate it. Personally, I like the car, but I can completely understand why somebody wouldn't. It does have quite an odd look, a very squat bonnet compared to quite a large boot, very tiny bug-eyed headlights. It's a unique design at the very least. But what about its performance? Because straight off the bat, this is a pretty expensive car. Now, in terms of the whole of Gran Turismo, it's not an expensive car. But for a normal car on Gran Turismo, it is pretty expensive. It's a 59,000 credit car. So for what is basically a daily driver, it is a pretty expensive motor on Gran Turismo. That's more money than a Supra, that's more than most of the Skylines, so it's a pretty expensive car. So what does it give you for the money? Well, first of all, it's front-wheel drive, which anyone who knows me knows that isn't exactly a good start. But thanks to this series, I'm kind of coming around to front-wheel drive cars, and my view of them is changing. And this car is actually one of the main reasons why that has happened, because I never used to like Alfa Romeos, and I had no time whatsoever for front-wheel drive vehicles. This car was actually the first Alfa Romeo that got me into starting to like them more. I don't really know why. My opinion of them just suddenly flipped, and I started to like them. Same thing happened for me with Aston Martin. I had no interest in them until suddenly I did. But what does this car have to offer? Because it's a 60 grand car and it's front wheel drive, it's pretty long, and from the look of it, it's not a particularly lightweight car. Well, fully tuned, it produces 484 horsepower, so it's far from being the most powerful saloon in the game, but it does have a decent amount of power. Its weight is actually a lot better than you'd think, and it's actually a lot lighter than it looks. It looks like getting on for a 2-ton car, but it's actually nowhere near that. With the full weight loss package, it weighs in at 1,216 kilos, so it's about the same kind of weight as a moderate sized hot hatch, which is pretty good for a car of its size, length and kit. PP wise, it sits at 522, which I wouldn't necessarily say is too high for this one. It is quite high for its amount of power and for a front-wheel drive car with said power, but I don't think it's too high for this particular model. It's fairly competitive at that level. I would say it would be better really for, say, 500, maybe 475. I think, to be honest, 475 would be pretty much perfect for this car. I think it would be very competitive at that level. But the really great thing about this car is how much performance you get in relation to how much power and on-paper specs you have. Because you could take two cars from two different manufacturers that have the exact same on-paper specifications, but one will be great and one will be awful. And this is one of those cars. 484 horsepower doesn't sound that amazing, but with 484 horsepower, this car can do over 220 miles per hour. So the bang for buck is really good. It's a seriously quick car. And not only is it quick in a straight line, but it actually handles really well. The length of the car makes it very stable and actually reduces wheel spin. The brakes, although they do like locking up under hard braking, they're still very good. They do a very good job of slowing the car down, considering that at the end of the day, even fully tuned, it is still a daily driver. And overall, its performance on the track is really far better than it has any right to be. It gives you very good lap times, primarily I would say on tracks with nice wide open straights, such as here at Bathurst, but also tracks like Monza, potentially Lasarte as well. I think this car would be very competitive for or against other normal cars, especially of a lower PP, because if you think about it, there aren't many cars which you could down tune to 475 or 500 which would have a top speed anywhere near this. Obviously the top speed wouldn't remain at that level, but it would still be very good for its PP. So overall, it's a great sleeper car, it's a fantastic straight line machine for its class, and it's very much underappreciated. So I would definitely recommend that you guys try this car at least once. And that's it for this episode, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.